Good evening, my friends. I am here to talk about sleep. This was requested some time ago, and I've just been busy, so I'm answering this question now. So, I'm going to give you my take on sleep, which is going to be not sleep hygiene oriented. That's if you are looking for tips about sleep hygiene, look for them elsewhere. There's lots of information about that on the internet. So if you want more information about what to do or not to do in the like 3 hours before you go to sleep, go elsewhere. But for my friends in recovery, this is more a recovery standpoint on sleep. So the first thing to do is to let go of being afraid that you can't fall asleep or caring about how much you sleep, because really all we need in order to sleep is to have our circadian rhythm running smoothly. So the biggest ingredient for sleep is to be in dose as much of the day as you can, because when your brain is in dose all day, it's giving all of the glands, the hormones, etc., all of your glands that produce the hormones that get your circadian rhythm going. So that natural rhythm of having a cortisol surge at 6 a.m. and feeling the dip in the afternoon, our appetite regulation, our ability to produce melatonin in the evening, all of that is governed by your circadian rhythm. And what it needs is for you to be in dose consistently. That's it. So that's the only thing to focus on, is just being in dose throughout the day, catching your pops, doing your work, really focusing on being in dose as much as you can. So one thing with this though too is because the limbic system's most basic pattern is obsession, it can obsess about getting into dose. So what you really want to do is just work on the patterns that are keeping you not in dose, because that relaxation chemistry is our natural state. So you want to work on any patterns that are coming up that would keep you from being in dose. So basically just doing your work, catching your pops, doing rounds, whatever you're doing, whether you're doing DNRS or something else, really just allowing yourself to be in a parasympathetic relaxation state and or ventral vagal, which is more like a normal, happy, moving, working, calm, focused kind of state, but some sort of relaxation chemistry state. So it's more about focusing on rewiring the patterns that are keeping you in stress chemistry and allowing yourself to get into dose, and then just changing your association to sleep. So just letting go of stress around it. That's it. It's just letting go of the fear. So catching any pops you have about fear that you won't be able to fall asleep. When you're up at night, make sure if you are up at night, have plenty of tools to just keep yourself in dose. That's what you need more than sleep is dose. So that's the key understanding here that will allow you to move to where you can have both. So that's the first thing, to let go of those fears and not allow your limbic system to, not allow yourself to have any recurring thoughts throughout the day that how I'm feeling is because of how much I slept. That's really important, because we can choose any way to believe and think about things. And one thing we could choose to believe is that how much sleep we got last night determines how good we can feel today. And that's going to keep you always in somewhat of a limiting / obsessive pattern about how much sleep you're getting. Whereas we can choose self-love and choose a routine that allows us to get enough sleep, while at the same time saying, I can thrive no matter how much sleep I did or didn't get last night. And I can have an amazing day no matter how much sleep I did or didn't get last night. And that's more sustainable, and it gives you more freedom. And then you're coming to yourself from a place of love instead of control. And and that's what creates a long-lasting, healthy pattern. Whereas fear-based control is never going to lead us to a healthy outcome. So in terms of what that looks like practically speaking, there's a combination of structure and allowing that for sleep. So if it really helps you, because some people sometimes we can have very wacky sleep schedules where we don't fall asleep till 3 or 4 a.m. and then we wake up at noon. If you don't have work or something waking you up, you can end up with some, sleeping during the day. There's all kinds of weird things that can happen. So just deciding on what you're willing to tolerate. So for example, if you have, you can't fall asleep before some hour, like 2 or 3 a.m. consistently, decide, okay, am I going to let myself, is it okay? Is my standard where at this point I really want to let myself sleep into 11, or do I just want to set a time so I can at least have my day and start to act into that healthy circadian rhythm? I'm going to wake up at 9 or 8 every single day, no matter what time I went to sleep. So that's one way you can enforce structure and just make the limbic system follow your lead, where you dose yourself through the day, you just make that consistent, make that decision so that you're not constantly in indecision or feeling guilty about it or whatever. You've just made a decision. Okay, I'm sleeping in for now. This is what I need, or I'm getting up at this time for now. Same thing for the night before. Some people find routine very comforting. So having an evening routine can be very, very wonderful and comforting. That can help you fall asleep. For me, my limbic system has, I have a lot of old patterns that were related to control and obsession with routines. So for me personally, I found just going with the flow and dosing and letting myself just go to sleep whenever I got sleepy enough to go to sleep. That was what worked for me. So, and it changed over time as I got more grounded and calm. And my circadian rhythm really started to regulate more. I had more control over, okay, well, I want to go to sleep by this time, so I can help myself get there and kind of rewind the day and say, okay, then when do I need to be finished working by? I know it takes me this long to unwind, so I need to kind of make sure my work and life schedule is early enough that I will be able to fall asleep at that time that I want to fall asleep at, or at least have the best chance of doing so. So your mastery of being able to fall asleep will improve as you rewire and as you have that circadian rhythm and that dose really steady. And it takes time. That's one big thing with this, is it takes time. All these things take time. If we've been stuck in that state for a long time, it's going to take consistent practice. And that's part of where, again, like so many different symptoms or dysregulation, you're going to see massive shifts as you wire in calm, as you focus on being in dose and rewiring whatever patterns are presenting that are keeping you in stress chemistry. Most of your physical shifts, a lot of your physical shifts are going to happen simply by doing that. Because once our body can get into that rest and digest, regenerative, peaceful state, that's when all your body systems start to tick and heal, and that regeneration, your metabolic rate speeds up, cell regeneration, you start to gain the ability to get deeper sleep and so forth. So all of that just comes from consistency. So just be consistent with your practice, be consistent with, catching pops and doing your work, whatever it is you're working on, keeping yourself in healthy patterns that allow you to stay in relaxation chemistry. So, and along with that, figure out what doesn't work and don't do that. So, just kind of like for me, I kept, because for a lot of people, routines work really well. I kept trying to make myself do a routine, and it just would backfire, because as soon as I tried to fall asleep, because that's not how sleeping works, it's something that is kind of an allowance. It's like we fall asleep. It's not something you try to do. It's something that just happens when you get to a certain precipice. So your job with this is just to help yourself to get to that precipice where you would then fall asleep. That's about it. So for me, trying to sleep or routines and being really structured about it was very antithetical. It was like my brain was like, oh no, we're trying to sleep. Something's wrong. Maybe we won't be able to sleep. And then it would get all those things going. So that I didn't do that. Just figuring out what doesn't work for you in particular, because this is your journey. So you don't need to worry about what anyone else does, because they're not living in your brain or body, and what works for them might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for them. So that's that. Very basic, very simple. Again, it's mostly just consistency and self-love as usual, but just wanted to explain the science behind that so that you guys know, so that you can just let go and know that that's going to rewire itself. And it does rewire itself. So that's what I've got for you tonight, my friends. Have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah.